Hi, and welcome to Autistic. Over the last few weeks, the autistic world has been in uproar over Spectrum 10K, the latest in a long list of pointless research initiatives from scientists who either don't care about the harm they could do or are too excited to play with their gene sequencing toys to notice. Last time, I talked about how projects like Spectrum 10K get the green light despite the many genuine workable solutions to the difficulties of living as autistic in a neurotypical world that routinely get ignored. We're frequently told of the mysterious nature of autistic minds and dismissed for not knowing what's best for us. Yet the reality is that nobody has done more to understand the many and various differences between neurotypical and autistic thought than the autistic community itself. I'd like to introduce you to something today which has been created by autistic people for autistic people and has massive potential. It's a tool that can help us understand our own minds and communicate our needs, sensitivities and thought processes to the people we live, work and learn with. Brain stories are a simple way to map out the way our senses interact and how much of a part they play in our daily lives. At the centre is a brain, your brain, and around it are various senses and functions that help us interact with the world. By mapping out the connections between the senses and our awareness of them, we can create a snapshot of exactly how our senses facilitate and limit our daily lives. More than that, though, it's a tool that can help us communicate our needs to those who have difficulty understanding us. Educators, employers, parents and carers can use it as a reference to help them work with us to create safe environments that we can share. I'll fill in my own sheet in a moment, but to give you an idea, let's look at a couple of examples. This one is typical of how most neurotypical people fill in the sheet. It's pretty straightforward, with direct links from all the senses to the brain. This one is also from someone neurotypical. It's my wife, in fact, who has to deal with chronic pain every day, and you can see that it's similar, but certain categories such as pain and memory are represented by jagged lines, because they have a huge impact on how she thinks and leads her life. The brain stories on screen now are from autistic people, and you can see the difference immediately. If you'd like to read a description of how these brain stories relate to the lives of the people who filled them in, there's a link in the description to the brain story feature on Autistic, where you can also download your own brain stories to fill in. There's no right or wrong way to complete your brain story. You can use lines, symbols, doodles, numbers, words, colours, or any combination. It doesn't matter if you do it on your computer, your phone, or print it out and do it by hand. Whichever way works best for you. Your brain story isn't set in stone either. Our health and well-being, major life events, and how we're feeling on the day can change our brain stories over time. Doing them regularly creates a kind of record of how our needs and abilities fluctuate over time, making them even more useful during diagnosis or when we need to seek help or cooperation from others. So, to show you how this all works, I'm going to fill one out for myself now. I'm going to start with the 5 traditional senses. I rely very heavily on both sight and hearing. I'm very sensitive to changes in my sight, well below the quarter of a diopter threshold that most opticians test for, and I have particular issues related to sound, so I've put in big, bold arrows feeding well into my brain at the centre. When it comes to the other 3 of smell, taste and touch, I'm very aware of all of them, but they're not as important in my personal sensorium as sight and sound, so I've expressed them with smaller arrows. If you've watched Autistic before, you'll probably know that I have a type of spinal arthritis. Pain management is a constant battle for me, so I've highlighted pain along with a big arrow of its own. Not everyone will be familiar with neuroception. Put simply, it's your sense of danger. Obviously, it's going to vary according to circumstances, but people who have been subject to past abuse, been consistently disappointed or ignored, often have a heightened awareness of risk. It can range from merely being cautious to that full-on fight or flight response that you can't afford to ignore. There's always a part of me on the lookout for risk, so I've highlighted my own neuroception and plonked another big red arrow on it. Gross motor skills I've highlighted on its own. I'm not dyspraxic, but my physical abilities and coordination have always been a bit rubbish. Even as a kid I was hopeless at anything sporting, and as an adult I'm well known for tripping over and dropping things, so I've put a little sketch in there to indicate it's broken. I don't feel my balance or time perception are particularly strong, so they both get small arrows, whereas fine motor skills gets quite a big one. Despite my poor gross motor skills, my finer skills are pretty good. Temperature gets a small arrow, but love of words gets a big fat one. I'm hyperlexic and have always been a voracious reader and writer. I'm very aware of how words influence our thoughts and feelings and take great care to choose my own words wisely. Rhythm is a small one, as is push-pull. If you're not sure what push-pull is, it's the need for a feeling of resistance. Some people need to feel that resistance or sense of pressure to feel a solid connection to the world. If you've bought yourself a weighted blanket, then you might have a heightened push-pull sense. My spatial awareness is nothing special, so that gets a small arrow. I've put in big arrows for both long-term and short-term memory. For reasons I'll explain in a moment, I've had to rely on memory a lot. You might notice that I've left interoception out so far. Interoception is a catch-all term for our internal senses that tell us what our bodies need. It took me many years to understand that many of my internal senses don't work the same as other people's. My senses of hunger, of fatigue, and even of when I need the loo don't connect directly to my awareness. So far, all these red arrows relate to the senses I feel aware of, those which directly connect to my sense of self. As well as those direct connections, many of them work together, modifying the way they influence my experience. Take my sense of balance, for instance. The pain in my back can affect not only my ability to balance, but my awareness of it. I might sense the pain before I realise I'm tipping over, so there's a two-way conversation going on between those senses. Sometimes I don't even realise I'm unsteady until I see the world shifting around me, so I've linked balance to sight as well. My sight is also connected to my hearing. I experience something we call ticker-tape synesthesia, which is a bit like having subtitles in everyday life. I hear words and see them as printed or written words whilst they're being spoken. I've linked hearing to rhythm, because the rhythm of speech can change the meaning of words. You can make a generous statement sound like a threat and vice versa just by changing the tempo and rhythm of the words. Smell and taste are linked for obvious reasons. Temperature I've linked back to pain, because the two interact a lot. If I'm uncomfortably warm or cold, it can make my pain worse, but on the other hand, being in severe pain can make me feel hot even in a cold room. Pain links back again to both fine and gross motor skills. It limits my movement in more ways than I'd like, but it's also an important aspect of my interoceptive senses. I don't always get the same warnings that other people do of bodily needs until they start to hurt. Sometimes the first I know that I'm hungry or need the loo is sharp, sudden pain, and it's taken me a long time to recognise that. My interoception is also linked to memory, both short and long term. Because my interoception works on a last-minute basis, I need to remember what I've done and when to make sure I stay on top of things. If I remember when to eat, I won't get hunger pains, and I'll be in bed by the time fatigue knocks me out. Long-term memory has been necessary to learn how my experiences differ and to work out how to best manage my needs. Finally, let's look at neuroception. My perception of risk is informed by past experiences. So when I feel edgy or worried, I dredge through my memories to work out if I'm worrying about nothing or genuinely in trouble. I've also linked rhythm, because so many of the problems I've faced multiple times in my life follow patterns, so knowing the sequence and tempo can help in protecting me from danger. Now we've got all the interconnections marked down, let's add the direct links we started with back in. So, there you have it. My brain story. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to fill the form in. It paints a broad picture of how our senses influence the working of our minds. Yours might be complex or it might be simple, but it will be an expression of who you are that you can use to help you communicate your differences to those who need to know. For all that we share, no two autistic people are the same. Whether you use your brain story to help you communicate or just for your own curiosity, why not follow the link in the description and do your brain story now. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and let us know how you get on with your brain stories in the comments. And if you really like what we do on Autistic, then support us on Patreon or by picking up some exclusive Autistic merch.